Hi, I'm Bob Fisher, and we're here at the Polara Foundation, Pier 24, where my collection is on view. I've been collecting photographs pretty consistently since 1981. While I was going to college, I took a class in the history of photography, and it was at that time that I really fell in love with a few different photographers, Walker Evans being one of them. And so when I was able to buy my first piece of art, the fact that I could get something for $1,200 by an artist that many recognize as perhaps one of the great artists of the 20th century, I was hooked. This is a collection that my wife Randi and I have put together. In these galleries that we're standing in right now, there are pictures that Walker Evans took in 1928 when he was a young artist, and pictures that he took in 1974, the year before he died. When you look at those pictures, you see the artist's progression, how they change, how they become interested in one thing and then another. I guess I was attracted to the creative mind of the artist, and it was really only by studying an artist in particular and going deep on their work that I found that I could really understand what it was that they were about. I probably have about 40 photographers in the collection, and perhaps somewhere around 1,400 works. It's obviously a lot more works than anybody can show, and that's one of the reasons why when Andy and Mary Polara invited me to show the collection here, I was so excited to be able to do it, because all of a sudden I have a chance to see what the collection truly looks like in its totality as opposed to snippets. There are 40 artists probably in total, but I would say 20 where I have really deep collections. So Walker Evans, Lee Friedlander, Robert Adams are three what I would consider pillars of the collection, and then other artists like Diane Arbus, Gary Winogrand, Harry Callahan, Robert Frank, William Eggleston. What I've done with the collection is really tried to focus it on documentary style, black and white, American photography. There are a few places in these galleries where I deviate from that. William Eggleston is a color photographer who started in the 70s and is really known for his dye transfer prints. So that would be those photographs by William Eggleston and a few photographs by Richard Mizrak are color works. So those are places where I've deviated from my black and white. There are works by Man Ray, works that would not be considered documentary style, more surrealist works. So I've deviated a little bit, but I've always felt that with photography, because of the approachable nature of the work, that with the collection I really needed to be focused, because if I bought everything I liked, all of a sudden I'd turn around and I would see so many pieces and they really wouldn't make much sense. So I've tried to make sense in the collection by focusing on single artists and going deep within those artists. You know, I've never really concentrated on portraiture per se. I would say actually that there are probably more pieces in the collection that are without people than with people. There are a lot of landscape photographs, although I'm not even particularly interested in landscape. So what I'm interested in really is the style of photography that's clear, that's not per se about emotion. Many of the photographs are actually quite devoid of that, but they do give the viewer a chance to almost put their own emotion into the picture. Evans was particularly interested in signs and in documenting America. And for many artists, there's nothing that documents America better than signage, advertising. And so photographers for the last 100 years have taken pictures of signs as a way to document the country that they live in. So again, I wouldn't say I'm particularly interested in signs per se, but I'm interested in the thought behind what goes into taking a picture of a sign. People often ask me if I have strong relationships with any of the artists in the show, and there are a number of those artists that are still alive. While I've met some of them, I've actually chosen not to get to be too close to any of these artists, primarily because I don't want it to affect the way I look at the work. I think when you meet an artist and you learn more about who they are as an individual, I find that it affects how you think about their work and the kind of passion you have for their work. So, and I think at the same time, you know, the artists, frankly, they'd probably rather be left alone. I think collectors for them are in a way, a necessary evil, a way for them to sell their art and for them to continue to live. But I think it's you know, the creative mind needs to be left alone to pursue their craft. Jeffrey Frankel, who has been with me every step of the way as I've put this collection together and has played a very, very important role in what I think is one of the great galleries in the world, certainly in photography and in art in general. Jeffrey really was the mastermind behind this show, and we sat down, he took a look at the entire collection, we started thinking about what would go into each room. Andy, as the patron here at the Pilar Foundation, had input into that. And then it turned out that when the show needed to get installed, I was away for the month. And so when I walked in and saw the totality of the work, you know, my first thought was, what was I thinking when I was collecting all these pieces? You know, you can hang maybe 100 works on your walls if you're lucky, but you know, to have 400 works and then to see them all in one place, you realize, you know, I have much more of an addiction than I really ever thought I had. And at the same time, I thought about what a beautiful job they had done in selecting the pictures. There's deep care placed in the proximity that each piece, even the spaces. I learned a lot myself about how shows get hung at a gallery or at a museum. I mean, this space is an incredible luxury for the city of San Francisco and the world of photography. 28,000 square feet devoted purely to photography is probably more space than any museum in the world has. So, you know, I think my hat's off to Andy and Mary for what they built here and for its importance to photography and to San Francisco.